So we'll start with the salutation to the Triple Gem. Yo so bhagavan sammam sambuddho vakhanto yena bhagavatam hammo supatipanno yasam bhagavato sankasangho Amayam Bhagavan Dham Sadamam Sasangham Imehi Sagare Hiyataraham Namrupitehi Vipujayama Satu no Bandhe Bhagavan Suchira Parini Buddhopi Bhajimma Janantana Kamba Manasam Ime Sangam Redu Katapana Karabunde Patigan Hantu Amahandi Harantam Hidaya Sukhaya Araham Samma Sambuddho Bhagavan Bondam Bhagavan Tam Vivademi Vakato Bhagavada Dhammo Dhammam Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namam Mandamayam Buddhasa Bhagavato Bhagavakanamakaram Romansi Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. I'm just going to get the technology going. Technology is not going.
I'm probably going to be doing a guided meditation first.
Yeah. So let's just take some time. So I always emphasize we have this interplay between the heart and the speech, thinking mind, and the body. And these three bases of practice. So the thinking mind or speaking mind, articulating mind, vajja, to do with speech and thought, ideas. Chitta, to do with impressions, heart, feeling, moods, inclinations. And body, to do with presence, being present, feeling yourself present. And all these interplay, and they all have energy to them. So thought obviously has its own particular energy, runs along, and heart has its own energy, it's impulsive or affected or joyful or fearful, but it always moves. And body has this steady pulsing quality to it. This is the energetic basis. And we work with forming these in a balanced way. So when we do puja, for example, we use the body to establish the proper upright position so the breathing becomes clear and full. And then we use the body to make the sound. So it's not just the same as speaking, it's the whole body from your belly, your chest, your throat to make the sound, and then the thinking mind just to create the words. And that establishes the place where the heart picks up the sound, listens to the sound. We get a sense of steady, joyful, uplifted state, and then that creates an atmosphere, an environment for meditation. So then you enter that particular state. So you generate a specific state, which is gladdened, uplifted, feel it in your body, you feel it in your heart, and your thinking mind takes you along this line of words, reciting praises to the awakened one, the truth, practitioners, Dhamma, others which we venerate and hold highly. Okay? So then you're listening to that, so your hearing is actually taking all that in, and the hearing kind of connects straight to the heart. So we're not trying to think about it, but just pick up the sounds and the resonance. The sound has a particular tone, which is steady, brightening, and calming. And so then that creates the environment with which you then dip into that and sustain it. Now, when the sound disappears, then we have that heart state, which is called pamoja, gladdened, and then bringing the body into it. So you sustain the bodily position and the bodily quality of open. Open body, open chest, drop the shoulders, open the throat, open the body. It doesn't mean you distract and go out. It means you stay, but you're staying in the sense of the whole body as an open form. And this is your basis of mindfulness of body. You're mindful of it. You sustain present awareness of that. And you discern, which is what's happening within that. The internal body. So the external body, which is to do with what we're touching, or what's around us, around this physical body, space, warmth, I expect, pressure, sitting where you're sitting. It's the external, it's when we turn our attention to what's affecting the body from outside, or the external sense. The internal sense is what's affecting the body internally. And this means things like state of health, whether you're tired or vigorous, whether you feel tense or relaxed, whether you feel under pressure or comfortable. So the internal body carries the basis of our emotions. You know, we feel unhappy, we feel saddened, something that sinks. We feel bright, something that lifts. So this is definitely not just an idea. This is a felt experience. And for most people, when we open, then you come into this felt experience. And this can be quite unsettled. So this is why we try to use for chanting, the puja, and the state, all that brings up the attitude of safety, of refuge, of patience, of joyfulness, of feeling that you're comfortably, you belong to something that's beautiful. So that in some ways, this is an emotional significance that helps the body to feel relaxed internally. Because it's obviously the case that you can have quite a comfortable place to live and physical comfort, but you don't feel comfortable in yourself. You feel worried, you feel annoyed, you feel saddened. So then one can feel quite disturbed internally. So this, finding this basis of dealing with your emotional body, right, with your mindfulness of body. Your emotions have a body too. And your emotional body will be the general pattern of your emotions. This can be exuberant, outgoing, or it can be regretful, fearful. It can be a number of range of experiences, but they all very much feel like me. They kind of define who I am or where I am at this particular time. Let's just take some time steadying body. So steadying the body externally. Is finding a ability to be stable. Relax your shoulders. Draw your lower back in slightly, so you have a feeling of your spine is very important in meditation, because this is what will support your upper body. So if your spine is comfortably settled in your pelvis, a slight bow in the lumbar region, just enough so the chest rests, the ribs rest on the spine rather than the soft flesh of the abdomen. So this also helps the chest to be open. It allows the shoulders to relax, and it means the body is quite open but also balanced. And we settle with that. And then internally, how am I? How am I feeling? when you ask that question, you might find a whole series of thoughts run through about the circumstances of the day. So, yes, but if you go deeper than that into, do you feel settled or restless? Do you feel comfortable or uncomfortable? And so not so much the thoughts as where the thoughts are coming from. They're coming from a worried state, or we're expecting something, or we feel very, very happy to be listening to talk. Whatever it is, there's an emotional basis there. Aware of that. You feel there's an energy there. Whatever is felt as energy, it's got some energy in it, right? What is a feeling? As an energy rises. Something was neutral, and then it becomes warmed up when it's pleasant, or it becomes overheated when it's unpleasant. Some energy changes when we experience feeling. Being aware of that experience, stirred, steadied, agitated, expanded, contracted. What is the energy doing? And we hold that within the body, just like you're holding something quite lively in your hand, without crushing it, without dropping it, just if you're holding like something, a living creature in your hand. The hand is your body, and you're holding this jumpy, mobile quality of feeling energy in that body, in that hand, and breathing through it. And avoid thinking about it or worrying about it. It is what it is. You avoid interrupting that with any sense of regret or favoring. It's just like this. Let the body hold that comfortably and breathing into that. Let the breath flow, the energy of breathing move through that. Allow it to change. That's it. which is a practice, puja, because it's encouraging a quality of faith, it's the trust. Trust the body, trust the breathing, trust this Dhamma container, and relax the self who wants it to be a certain way and doesn't want to be it in another way, who wants to understand it, arrive at a conclusion, make something happen, stop something happening, compare with something else. Just relax this kind of reflex activity, which we call myself. It's not that easy to do, I admit. But acknowledge it, and maybe life is going on in its own way. Maybe something will find us. Perhaps realization happens rather than I get it. Perhaps it can come to me if I actually enter this process with a mind established on faith in Dhamma rather than on myself. And if we trust and there is a spirituality to our practice, what this really means is something bigger than myself. My personal perspectives, wishes, and even activities and powers and so forth. Humility. And practice is coming down to this sense of embodiment, which is given, breathing, which is given, and your ability to sustain awareness of the energies that are moving in their own way. The main emphasis not to contract around them, to get stuck in them, but to maintain this open, steady container around the forms, the qualities, the felt senses that arise, that then move through. This process will strengthen one's ability to sustain awareness, which is another body of your awareness. And that's what covers all of this process. We're no longer so mesmerized by change your characteristics of feeling, where they're going, but ability to hold the energy of it. So we're not closing down or spinning out. It gets a powerful quality to sustain that focus. But this is your vehicle for liberation. So let's take some moment or two to back into the world of speaking and thinking.
Brahmo Chaloka Tipati Sahampati Patanjali and Divaranaya Chata Santida Sata Paraja Kajatika Dese to Dhamma Kampilang Pajam.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So it's a saying of the Buddhas that I often refer to. You don't get to the end of suffering until you get to the end of the world. You don't get to the end of the world by running around on it, by running around in the planet, but within this very body, with its consciousness, perceptions, and mind, is the beginning of the world, the end of the world, and the way leading to the end of the world. And this is how you get to the end of suffering. So it brings it back home, doesn't it? This is a very immediate and accessible teaching coming right back to this body. And in some ways it's slightly mysterious, because you think, I don't see any path leading to the end of the world in this thing. But the body is a term that can be used in a number of ways. We start with talking about what's called the gross material body, which is the body that most people assume can see as a body. This is his physical qualities that you see with your eyes. You also sense it as a sense experience. Yeah, the tactile physicality of it, or what they call the gross material body. And so this is obvious. And it's that which is operates through senses. It is, it touches things, and it walks around in a world of sights and sounds. So this sensed gross body exists in the world of sights and senses and sounds and touches. It's a sense body. Everybody knows that. This one So only this goes into the grave. This goes into the ground. In some time or another, this one dies. And you have what's called a subtle body, which is internal. So the body, Buddha sometimes referred to contemplating the body externally, contemplating the body internally. And when he said internally, he doesn't mean contemplating the lungs or the spleen or the liver, the internal physical body, but more the interior experience of body. As you're experiencing your body, you say, within me, within this body, how does it feel? Does it feel sick, healthy, tight, balanced, unbalanced, shaky, calm, spacious, contracted? These are all internal qualities of body, which again, most people with a little bit of introspection will say, oh yes, that. Oh yeah, I do feel strange, or I do feel bright or expansive. I don't quite know what they're referring to, because there certainly can be an emotion associated with it, but there really is like a we call a somatic experience. The internal body can feel brightened, or dull or stagnant, sick, and it's felt. So this is the internal, the subtle body. And when we contemplate that, we recognize it's to do with energies. That is, there's a lot of energy. One feels very excited or revved up, or sometimes too excited, too stressed, or it can feel tense and tight, or it can feel relaxed and supple. It can feel fluid and flowing. It can feel rigid and knotted. But these are all energies. When I say energy, I don't mean energy of power. I mean the energy of vitality. It's called the fine material level, the fine material realm. And this experience, the fine material or energetic realm, unites the body and what we call the mind, which from an external point of view, the body is bones and meat, and the mind is thinking. They're completely different realities. But we say on the internal energetic level, the mind is jumping and the body is agitated. Yeah, and they go together. If the mind is jumping, the body is agitated. If the body is steady and serene, the mind is calm, right? Yeah, if the mind is gladdened and uplifted, the body is also bright internally. So on practice, it's a matter of like an interplay between these bodily and mental factors. We might start off with lifting the heart, with puja, visiting the teacher, seeing the Buddha, whatever brightens and inspires us we live, and then acknowledging that, even reflecting on precepts and values and virtues, things that we hold dearly, we brighten up. We get the brightened uju citta, uju kaya, the upright mind. The upright mind, we come into that sense of, yes, this is what I'm about. This is what's meaningful. It's a gladdening and a brightening effect. And there's an embodied quality to that. We stand up straight. We feel dignity. We feel self-respect. That's felt. So then, so this then you start, okay, with this sustaining mindfulness of that. We stay within, the mindfulness is the ability to stay focused and steady on that particular experience. And I must say again, this is kind of like definitely the message you're getting from the suttas, gladdening the mind, steadying the body gets refreshed, the mind gets happy, the body gets comfortable, the mind gets serene, you enter samadhi. It's like that. This is the way it goes. And there's no description of focusing on any particular sensation. So it's not a narrowing of attention to a particular part of the body, or even on breathing as a particular point. It's on breathing as an overall suffusive flow. There's no description of focusing on a particular point in the body. Let's get the whole thing and let it flow. Now, this is particularly important or is significant to me because attention also has an effect on energy. Now, if your attention is moving around very rapidly, your energy will also be quite agitated. If you've been, going through the buses, railway stations, traffic, and looking at this, that, and the other, your energy will be stirred up. Attention, because you have to attend to many different things happening quickly. The attention span gets reduced in busy life to less than a second, because you jump on to the next thing, particularly with screens and clicks. You can click onto something in a second, you click onto the next thing. So your attention span is just energy then is very agitated. And this means often what happens is a person leaves their embodiment because their body can't actually hold that amount of busy energy. But again, the remedy is if you are in that particular condition, if you come into your body, you can begin to get the energy to steady and your attention will begin to compose itself. This is fundamental practice. So standing, walking, stretching, and in the Buddha's teaching, presentation of Satipatthana talks about a wide range of bodily activities, even just cleaning your floor in a steady, composed way, rather than hurrying up to get it done, even taking a shower in a steady, composed way rather than rushing to get it all cleaned up. Just that has an effect because your attention is being held steady and soothed. And this affects the energy. The energy then also becomes steadier and soothed. Now, if you compress your energy, so your attention, you compress it by focusing on a particular point, that has an effect on your energy. Your energy becomes more intense. So if you compress your attention onto a narrow point, your energy becomes more intense because you're compressing energy. You're compressing the mind's energy. Now, you may like to do that. I mean, people like to have fine detailed things they can work on. Computer games, they've got to think about it. They like that compressing of attention because when you compress attention, the rest of the world disappears. So you get focused on a particular point, the rest of the world disappears. That's great. Now so you get obsessive. And this is like, or called obsessive compulsion disorder, is a disease, a psychological affliction that occurs because they can't manage the open state, therefore keep focusing on a particular obsessive pattern that will hold the mind steady because the energy is then held steady, but it's compressed. And if we begin to release that compression, then, suddenly, hey, it's a lot more things moving. That one's awareness body doesn't have the capacity to handle. So we say, okay, well, but try, getting your attention to cover your entire body as you experience it, even the external body. That gives it definitely something to be hold on to, and take your time to allow the energy that arises, which can be pretty, unsettled and worried or agitated, and just, okay, that's that. And just hold that steadily within that sense of embodiment. This already is a powerful practice because mostly what happens when our energy and our attention starts getting distracted, we get, stop this, or we either follow the patterns of our thoughts, our emotional patterns, we follow them, or we distract ourselves. Let's go somewhere else, think about something, do something, anything, get busy doing something, switch something on, get busy. I've got to go now, I'll hurry up, this kind of thing goes on. Or we go into, and then painful memories. And so this is your emotional body. The energy goes into creating or reaffirming an emotional body. The emotional body you can also call your karmic body. It means the particular template or blueprint of where your emotions go as you know, in a repeated way. So some people go into, oh, I got a lot to do, or it's my fault, there's something wrong with me, you know, or it's everybody else's fault, there's something wrong with them. There's a lot of blaming that goes on, because when there's this state of things not being settled, things not being stable and settled, the reaction is there's something wrong. There's something wrong because it's not settled, it's not stable, it's not the way I want it to be, there's something wrong. So, well, there's something wrong with me. So then worry, guilt, I must be a bad person. Oh yes, I remember these terrible things I used to do or say. Or we start imagining we've done terrible things and feel guilty and regretful. So you get an emotional body that's based upon regret and guilt. Yeah? Or an emotional body that's based on obligation. Like, I've got to do a lot of things for everybody else. I've got to make something work. I've got to. And where does that come from? Right? So this is what happens when the energy isn't held steadily and isn't, you know, calmed and spread through the entire form, is it starts to create this emotional body, which can be quite uncomfortable, quite inflamed, regret, craving, doubt. What should I do? What should I not do? Am I doing the right thing? And come up with lots of thoughts and scenarios of what I should or could or not. Think, look, right now, for the next 20 minutes, you don't have to do any of that. You just be where you are in your body. I mean, you can worry later on, but for right now, let's see what it's like when you just, instead of believing the pictures and the images and the memories and the ideas that come up, you feel the energy as an energy. Feel the sense of your body, bring the two together and keep referring to that inner body, the energy of your body, right the way down to your feet, your back, whole thing. And let this energy, emotional energy, move around until it begins to discharge, which is what it will do, which is what we don't know. We think the only way to resolve this unpleasant feeling is to act upon it, to either react to it or close it down. That's what, so then the self gets in, stop this, do this, don't be this, be like that. Yeah. Now, the non-self strategy is stop doing that. Feel your entire body, your inner body, your energy body. And if it feels compressed, just slightly open it. Feel a sense of expanding, just gently, till you feel bodily more and more comfortable and established. Listen to that. Let that. That has an effect because the bodily energy and the emotional energy are linked together. So we use the body to stabilize and rest the emotional energy. It's not that we shouldn't have emotion, but when it's distracted, emotion goes out. It goes out and it goes to self and me and mine and what I should be and what I am, what I'm not. It goes out. When it stays in, it becomes, this is happy, this is steady, this is joyful. So then you get the experience called rapture, which is when the emotional energy and the body energy combine and you're feeling a sense of uplift and gladness. This moves to ease. In that process, through cultivating like that, a certain third quality, third domain, the awareness body, which is something, is also witnessing all this. And that also is like a presence that you can refer to as awareness. It's not a sensation. It's not an energy. It's a stability. It's not moving. And it's spacious and it's very settled. And, you know, that is the way out. Through holding this body and the energies that it contains in a skillful way, we find this is the place where it ends, not through aversion, not through suppressing something, but just through dispassionate release. And it's not self. The beauty of this is it's very intimate. We can do it in our own experience. And it's intimate, but it's not self. It's not my personal pattern. It's not my personal opinion. It's something that comes through dispassionately holding these personal qualities. When you find this to be a refuge in many ways. I was visiting my elder brother yesterday. He has Alzheimer's and also Parkinson's disease. So he has these two. One, the Parkinson's disease incapacitates the body, and the Alzheimer's incapacitates the mind. So this is obviously a very, it's deeply Dhamma, a messenger. You know, all this can break down. This body can break down. The physical body can break down. The mental faculties can break down. There's still somebody, you're still in there. So I went to visit, and he's unable to really communicate in any way. So even to recognize, I think he recognized, but he can't signify. In other words, he just sits there completely immobile. And so I, hello, okay, nothing happens. Just throw some words in, nothing happens. Obviously words aren't going to work here. Right, so I just bring awareness over the whole situation. And I'll just make bodily contact. So he has a leg. So I just start gently massaging a leg. And I get his hand, holding his hand, massaging his hand. Just sense of contact. And then spreading awareness over a situation with goodwill. After about 10 minutes, he starts to speak. He can't make much sense, but at least you can see he's actually coming. He's encouraged by that to come out, to at least start to say something. And I'm just listening and encouraging, and then I just started chanting Metta Sutta, aspects of the Metta Sutta, just radiating loving kindness and holding, physically holding. So I was doing that. He's lying there, and his other hand comes over and grabs hold of mine. So we have these three hands linking together and just chanting slowly, Metta Sagatena. And you could sense, even though you can't say it very much or do very much, you could feel the sense of ease and love and happiness, because the energies are linking up body energy, the heart energy is linking up. So even though the thinking brain dissolves or breaks down, you can still have that sense of, I am meeting this person, or there is a meeting place here. And it's also not up to me to make something happen. I cannot cure this person. I cannot change this person. There's nothing I can do or say, however much I would like to, that's going to be that he can receive. But he can still receive presence, can still receive energy, can still receive loving kindness. And as we're sitting there for about an hour or so, and then gradually his hand became stronger and stronger, holding on, and you could feel his life force coming up to meet that contact. And this is poignant, but also something very satisfying, because one feels my sense of wanting to do something, being a bit worried, wanting to help him, feeling, what can I do? And just relaxing. Everybody gets to the end of their life. Everybody sometimes people get to the end of their mind before they get to the end of their life, or they get to the end of their ability to move before they get to the end of their life. But that doesn't mean you abandon them. It just means you abandon your wish that they be something other than the way they are right now. And then you can meet them. Once you start to do that, cultivate that with people who are dying, it's probably, you're more likely to be able to practice it with people who are living, rather than always trying to make them somewhere or another, or watch, just hold of the awareness and loving kindness, and trust that they'll receive that, and the best will come out of that. Because actually, you don't start dying at 70, you start dying on day one. The process has already begun. We're all doing it. In terms of the senses. But essentially, if you cultivate, instead of your life being a process of sensory arising and passing, it becomes one of handling the energy that's there, and awareness and strength in that, and trust and faith in that grows stronger and stronger and stronger. So by the time you're 70 or 80, you're in really good condition. That's the point of this life. That's the point of being born, is to use this experience in order to develop this kind of potential quality, so that we can get to the end of the world before this body passes away. But remember, you reflect on people you can die, people can pass away quite immediately. How fragile this sensory world is, and how inevitable it is to leave it. So external, going out, is dangerous. Stay internal. Cultivate the internal, cultivate the energies and the steadying, and then you can transmit, you can move out with mindfulness and composure rather than compulsion and anxiety. Then that's your gift, and that's your presentation of Dhamma in this lifespan. So all of this for your reflection today.
Handamayam Dhammakataya Sadhakaranda Dhammase Sam Shanti.
So we'll pay our respects to the Triple Gem. So just to mention, you know, I'm trying to sustain this monthly talk session for people around the planet. Just, you know, there's only so much, the only place you can travel to. I do quite a lot of it. So this enables me to reach people, or people to reach me, without having to travel a lot. So I'm trying to sustain this as a kind of monthly, at least once a month practice. But in a couple of days' time, I'm going to New Zealand. So this means all the time zones go through a complete change. And it's not always going to be the case that I can find a time that's going to suit everybody on the planet. That's the way it goes, but they will all be recorded on Dhamma stream. Perhaps it's not so interesting when you hear it recording, but that's what I can offer. And I think for people in New Zealand, it'll be great, because not only they get left out of it, or because their time zone is like nobody else. But next time, I would like to look at any questions that you can present through Dhamma tracks or through Beta, or however you can get them across, so I can look at those, and I'll try to, you know, crystallize half a dozen questions to respond to, so that you know, it's always helpful to have a little bit of a dialogue going in these meetings. So I enjoy listening to your concerns and approaches and practices, and responding as best I can to that. So that will be happening next time, which is February 12th, I think. Well, 12th in New Zealand anyway. At some time or another. Okay, so let's pay our respects to the Triple Gem. Vakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasam. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sangham Namo. So take good care and stay in the stream of Dhamma until we meet again.
Longpo, please allow